Why modern businesswomen look dated in 2026 and their style mistakes go unnoticed. It's 6:42 a.m. You're standing in front of your closet, partially dressed, running behind, and already hating the way you look. Though you can't quite put your finger on why. You're proud of your accomplishments in life and in work, but as you continue standing there, something feels off. Something just feels really different. You're not physically uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable with wearing you lately. Do these clothes still fit where you're going? The blazers are staring at you. The dresses are staring at you. The pants are staring at you. But you're staring at them like they no longer do what they used to do for you. On paper, these outfits work. You've worn versions of them for years. Promotions, presentations, client meetings, leadership panels, speaking engagements. It's your reliable look. But this one blue look is the one that signals competence, control, professionalism. So why do you keep holding on to that blazer that's just taking up space in your closet? Why do you keep second guessing the silhouette? Why? Before you even leave the house, do you feel slightly disconnected on your fashion and lifestyle? By 9:15 a.m., you have your morning drink and you're sitting in a conference room surrounded by colleagues who have it together professionally and whose professional image aesthetic clearly works for them in their role. But something's different. The director across from the table, her presence feels current, effortless. A younger executive walks in, sleek, but somehow sharper, more intentional to her frame. Even looking at the glare shadows of all of you in the window, you can't explain why you look heavier, stiffer, less dynamic. It creeps up on you in small, quiet moments. And yet, you don't look like the woman you know yourself to be now. You have a conversation with yourself and say, maybe you're just overthinking everything. Are you? This is one of the most common experiences I observed working as a consultant and stylist for modern public-facing businesswomen. Women who are advancing professionally, evolving intellectually, expanding their influence, but whose visual identity is quietly operating from a version of themselves that no longer exists. And that is exactly how looking dated actually happens. Not through obvious industry fashion mistakes, but through reflecting and evolving your own identity with every aspect of your life. Something no one points out and most women never think about. So in this video, we're going to examine what dated actually looks like in 2026 and the specific style patterns that quietly make professional women appear invisible to others, even when they're buying the latest item or the most expensive one. Because when your image stops evolving, but your career doesn't, that identity gap becomes visible, whether you realize it or not. So let's talk about what actually creates the experience of your professional style looking dated, especially for modern businesswomen. Because in professional and corporate environments, looking dated is rarely about wearing something old or wearing a well-known brand name. It's all about professional perception and the visual signals that communicate your credibility, authority, and status. And with how fast professional environments move and how many responsibilities you're managing at once, these visual shifts have a greater chance of slipping through the cracks. No longer aligning with the present structure of your professional image or the role you operate in. Now let's break down the most common style patterns that quietly create this effect, so you don't find yourself becoming a victim of it. Not from a trend perspective, not from a styling preference perspective, but from a professional image archetype perspective as a practicing consultant and stylist actively working with these dynamics behind the scene. What if your wardrobe reflected who you are instead of what's trending? Welcome to our closet at MIIEN, where women shop a curated collection of secondhand fashion, unique reworked designs, and brand name pieces, all hand selected by image consultant stylist Mikara Reid. Every piece is chosen with intentions, so you can stay ahead of your fashion identity, not the trends. And here's a little secret. When you join our closet VIP list, you get preview first access to curated drops, first to buy access before new arrivals are released, and exclusive VIP perks with insider privileges. Stay ahead of your fashion identity, not the trends. Secure your spots. Join the Our Closet at MIIEN VIP list. Number 1, reflecting on your identity. The first pattern is something most women assume they are already doing, but rarely in a structured way. Reflecting on your identity, not who you've always been, not who people expect you to be, but who you are operating as now, personally, professionally, and socially. Many businesswomen update their skills, they update their knowledge, they update their responsibilities, but they don't regularly update their fashion identity with the same level of intention. And that's where the disconnect is rooted in most cases. Your clothing is not just functional, it communicates a snapshot of who you are. It communicates the different stages of you, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s. If your internal identity has expanded, but your external image is still structured around who you were 3 promotions ago or 3 years ago, the visual message becomes historically accurate, not presently accurate. When image reflects past identity, observers experience a subtle time delay, even if they cannot articulate it. Looking current requires periodic identity reflection, not reactive change, not trend adoption. Number 2, developing your own outfit formulas, your career uniform. The second pattern is the absence of clearly defining outfit formulas that suits your profession and your calendar activities. Many women have go-to pieces, reliable items, pieces that work for work, but that is not the same thing as having a solidified career uniform. A career uniform is your own fashion uniform built specifically for you and your inner worlds. Repetitive silhouettes, strategic wardrobe management built around what's happening in your professional world and daily schedule. Without one, most women rely on situational dressing, choosing what feels acceptable each day rather than what consistently communicates who they are. And over time, that creates visual inconsistency. Some days aligned, some days neutral, some days slightly behind. Consistency is what stabilizes professional image across environments, meetings, visibility moments, leadership settings, and media presence. When outfit construction is based only on habit or comfort, it freezes at the moment it was first proven successful. If your formula does not evolve, it becomes a preserved fashion system from another professional era. Number 3, choosing colors that support your career positioning. Color is one of the most underestimated signals in professional image. Most women choose colors based on preference, flattery, or familiarity. Very few choose colors based on professional positioning. Different color communicate different things such as authority, approachability, femininity, trustworthiness, creativity, even a lack of professionalism. And as your role changes, the color language that supports your presence often needs to shift as well. What worked when you decided to appear dependable may not work when you need to step into a visible leadership. What worked when you needed to appear dependable may not support you when you need to step into a visible leadership. What worked when you needed to blend into team structure may not support you when you need to stand as a decision maker. When your color choices no longer match your role, people feel the disconnect, even if they cannot explain why. Nothing looks wrong, but nothing reinforces your current level either. That absence of reinforcement is often interrupted as an image that hasn't kept up. Number 4, only noticing the problem through comparison. Most women do not notice the shift on their own. They notice it through comparison. Standing next to someone whose image reflects present professional standards, seeing themselves in group photographs, watching recorded videos, being around others whose image feels more current. When you're by yourself, everything looks fine. But next to others, the difference becomes noticeable. Comparison reveals where your image sits in time, who looks in tune with the environment, and who looks visibly preserved within an earlier framework. And this is often when discomfort begins. Not because anything is technically wrong, but because alignment is no longer equal. Number 5. Why these style shifts go unnoticed. The reason these shifts go unnoticed is not a lack of intelligence or awareness. There are clear reasons this happens. There are 3 primary ones. Familiarity bias. What feels stable to you is often slowly becoming out of step with everything else around it. Functional success. Your clothing still performs its role. It is appropriate, acceptable, professional. So there is no urgent reason to question it. Professional expectations change slowly over time. Professional image standards do not change overnight. They shift slowly, collectively, and often silently, which means you are adapting to your clothes. At the same time, the environment is adapting away from it. Without interruption, feedback, or intentional review, the shift remains invisible until contrast exposes it. What dated actually means, according to Mikara in 2026. So what does dated actually mean? In a professional image context based on my styling practices, it does not mean old clothing. It does not mean unfashionable styling. It does not mean lack of effort. Dated simply means marked by a specific time period. A visible gap between who you are professionally now and the visual language your image is still using to represent you. It's a delay between identity and representation. Your role has updated, your authority has expanded, your influence has increased. But your image is still operating from a previous stage of your identity. Nothing is incorrect. It is simply no longer time accurate. How you define dated. And this leads to the most important question of all. How do you define dated? Not by external standards, not by shifting public opinion, not based on trends or generational commentary. Let me know in the comments down below. I want to hear how you define dated. At what point does an image stop representing growth and stop preserving the past? At what point does what feel familiar start holding you back? At what point does consistency stop moving your image forward? Because once you can define what dated means within the context of your own professional evolution, you can finally decide whether your current image is communicating who you are or who you used to be. Step into MIIEN's extended play. Gain exclusive access to full episode, unreleased case studies, and live replay sessions. Press play and elevate your fashion identity.